Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another high-level Marvel Rivals Ignite cast as we are in the Ignite quarterfinals, aka the qualifying matches for the Americas. Whichever team wins this is going to Ignite, meaning that they have their opportunity to qualify for that mid-season championships and the grand finals in November for that $3 million prize pool across all the regions. They need to get this. So this is the money match, and I want to say thank you to the player who sent me this replay. These are from Bedtime Story. They are from Solaris, which are Team B, Team 2 for some reason here. I'm not sure why their name isn't showing up, but hey, we know who it is. This is Arrival 7 versus Solaris. I've had to go on quite the scavenger hunt to try and find all these replays due to the fact they've all played in private, and then the Netties decided to wipe all of the tournament history for Ignite. So great, that's fun. So I've had to track these down via making some new friends. So big shout out to Bedtime Story for sending those in. So we are getting set up for Yggdrasil Path. It's a best of 3. Winner moves on to join teams such as Sentinels, 100 Thieves, all these top-level teams. And it all comes down to one best of 3. These teams have fought tooth and nail to get here. I'm going to see Punisher as a ban by Arrival 7. That is a little more unique. Normally Punisher is sort of picked up as a counter to maybe some of the Flyers and to Groot, but Human Torch banned away. Groot protected. That's going to be an Adam Warlock protection and a Wolverine protection. Arrival 7, they protect the Wolverine because they really need a counter for that Groot just in case. And, well, Solaris, with the Adam Warlock protection, they've kind of forced Arrival 7's hand here because now Arrival 7 have to ban Star-Lord if they don't want to just get absolutely targeted down. Winter Soldier will be removed by Solaris at Arrival 7. This is incredibly predictable. Adam Warlock protected. Star-Lord goes. Nothing too surprising there.
The right heroes could make all the difference.
Let's have a look at some of these hovers. That is a Storm and a Hawkeye being hovered here. Very unique frontline by backline by Solaris. Not something we see at all. Arrival 7 looking pretty standard here. Psylocke made it through, as did Hela. So both of those are available, and we're looking at Storm Hawkeye. How very early Season 1. Arrival 7 now. A pretty standard composition. They're going to throw out a BRB for a Rockets packed lunch in the spawn. So trusting on their rotation speed to make their way onto the objective in time. Whereas Solaris, they seem to just be rolling out with a, like we said, a little bit more unusual here. No Wolverine, despite a Groot being on the board for both sides. Very risky. It's the normal counter here. Pizza Demon with a rocket for a Rockets packed lunch. Can't really offer pizza, but can offer armor. Little bit late, so not going to be able to get anything here, everything here. And we'll be swapping it to a Loki to heal up the rest of the team. So pressure's going to be on Hoffman here to try and find isolations onto Tim the Tapman. And set up early leads and immediately gets bodied. Hoffman taking out Tim the Tapman. On point there. Monotone keeping the rest of the team healed up in the backline. As you can see, those brute walls trading shots back and forth. Mental Athlete flying across your screen with the greatest of ease, trying to find those quick pickups. Chemicals would be a lovely target here if they could find it. The Chemicals is playing a little bit too safe. Shuriken dash coming on through immediately into the Psychic Stealth, taken out of danger. Pinnacle focus down. Healing output coming in. Mental Athlete needs some of that healing of their own as they're getting focused down here. Fate of both worlds from the God of Mischief. Flamme using that to their advantage. They get ult first, they pull the trigger, and that is going to be a 1-5 by Arrival 7. For Solaris, they only lose 2 members in exchange for Hoffman, meaning that it's not too bad, especially as their rotation back to the point is significantly faster. Nice pickup. Up to the high ground. Mental Athlete trying to move on in. Here comes Bedtime Story with that Omega Hurricane. As Mental Athlete is trying to drop that Hunter's side. That's immediate air, but it's blocked down by Magneto. Omega Hurricane finds nothing. Fate of both worlds dropped across the board. Both teams trying to find targets. Media M. Regeneration Domain will block that, but the Lanterns are taken out. Straggling Prison shut down, and that's going to be a God of Mischief into a Fate of both worlds. The last ultimate pizza team was able to hold on to this for a little bit longer in terms of strategies, but they're unable to get to Tim the Tapman, who gets isolated here, as we will see Solaris forced to back away as Arrival 7 start to make their way forward, finding Gilbert Noodle, and will take them down. Lovely block off with the group wall, but Hoffman is taken out once again. They're finding the pickups they need, but they are getting punished. Quick shout out. This is a message in my comments from Fabian Frankel for Solaris, in case I end up casting them in the future again. Tim the Tapman is actually Guru, and Mental Athlete is Gale. We will keep calling them by their in-game names for the sake of confusion. Hoffman looking for an opportunity as Tim the Tapman moved over to the Wolverine. Final stand, taking out Borderline with Bedtime Story and Pizza Demon also falling. Tim the Tapman was the second Vanguard here, meaning we were currently for a short time there on a triple duelist composition with that Wolverine. A little bit risky here. But it looks like they're back to the 2-2-2, believing they can push it a little bit further, currently on 71 meters, 84 centimeters. Pinnacle topped back up after taking a little bit of damage. This is all down to Mental Athlete continuing to ping away here. Hunter's sight. Gale pushing in with that Omega Hurricane. They're trying to group them all together. Those illusions going to get focused down, and Meteor M is going to block enough of those backliners. That's a Dance of the Butterfly, but completely shut down with the Regeneration Domain there of Pizza Demon. A lot of ultimates were just burned, but Arrival 7, they still have that straggling prison Fate of both worlds from Borderline, and Pizza Demon still has their own God of Mischief. Both teams are desperately trying to tag on through. Straggling prison came on out and was blocked out completely there, finding nothing. There's the counter coming in from Tim the Tapman, but the team does not seem to have the follow-up as Tim the Tapman falls. Bedtime Story can't seem to do enough damage to finish off anyone here. Gilbert Noodle chased on back with 9 seconds to go. Solaris need to get someone onto the point. Tim the Tapman is trying to portal back into one Shuriken swipe, but not enough. The Shuriken dash does not land. 71 meters, 84 centimeters. And what Arrival 7 now have to beat on attack. Arrival 7 now on the attack. Can they close this out? Adjustments. We are seeing Bedtime Story moving over to the Psylocke here. Storm has been abandoned, as has the Hawkeye with Mental Athlete. Going to be swapping over to the Wolverine. They're just going to go for a compositional copy. Trying to bring it back in their own way.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
Arrival 7. 71 meters, 84 centimeters. Very doable. BRB set up for a Rockets Pack lunch so they can all be a little bit more sustained on their way out of the base. It's going to be the jetpack flying over to WAV there. That's pretty useful in case they get caught by Wolverine or go over a group wall. They can now boost their way back to freedom. Pushing in aggressively, Hoffman with the Wolverine knockback with the jetpack. They push on in, and that is an easy pickup onto Tim the Tapman, the classic Rocket Wolverine combo. Gilbert Noodle trying to zone on back, trying to pull back as they're being run down here by Hoffman, who wipes out yet another one. Bedtime Story will take out Chemicals, but Hoffman is currently untouched back here, retreats back to their team. Bedtime Story in the backline. It's being an absolute menace. Tim the Tapman portals in for their team to make sure they can touch the point, taking out the Flemme clone. And they're back on the point here. Portal, there's only a few meters left to go. 55 out of 71. So it's absolutely worth paying attention, making sure you've got the zoning potential. Chemicals dropped low. Bedtime Story. Wolverines coming back in, looking for Pinnacle. Dance of the Butterflies at the ready. For Bedtime Story, Chemicals just a little bit away. Fate of both worlds. For Flemme, straggling prison. From Pinnacle, but again, the follow-ups just don't seem to be coming in. Everyone is just tanking through all of these hits here. Media Ram from Gilbert Noodle as they try to hold it down. The Butterfly coming in right at the end of that healing ultimate, but Monotone drop their own Fate of both worlds as Hoffman finds a triple here with the help of Wav as they make their way forward. Tim the Tapman zoned off Media Ram, and the card moves on in. Bedtime Story tries to make it, but that is gonna be game number 1, going over to Arrival 7. Nicely done. Solid lead set up by Arrival 7 in this first game. Monotone takes MVP. Well deserved. You could see the amount of times that Groot was dropped low. And then Monotone turned it round, keeping Solaris topped up and allowed them to sustain on through. Sorry, keeping Arrival 7 topped up, allowing them to push on through. We're going to speedrun statistics here, and I'm also going to fast forward draft number 2 because I have an appointment to get to, and I've miscalculated my timings. We're going to have 15 eliminations for Hoffman. Very low elimination game. We called that. 5 final hits for Wav and Chemicals. That's top of the board. Least amount of times getting eliminated is Wav and Monotone, both going down 0 times. Also, 4 final hits for Monotone, doing some great work on Lunar Snow. Top healing is going to be almost Monotone with 25k, but Flemme will beat them out with 26k, and also beats them in terms of damage by 22. But they got eliminated, so therefore the MVP goes to Monotone. Top damage blocked goes to Pinnacle with 26k. It is a pretty much heavy blue lead for almost every statistic except for top damage, which is Bedtime Story. 18k. Gilbert Noodle also beats most of the enemy team with 11k, 15k for Mental Athlete. It was just way higher in terms of DPS for the side of Solaris. But Bedtime Story, that damage output, not enough as Arrival 7 in that game number 1. Let's set ourselves and my incredibly messy hair today up for game number 2 here, which means I need to go get that replay. Thank you, Bedtime Story. I'm going to fast forward the draft. For starters, the drafts are already quite long. So we're going to fast forward that a little bit here to try and get us all out of here a little bit earlier. As we are heading on in to game number 2 in this best of 3 series. Remember, the winning team will be qualifying for Marvel Rivals Ignite. The loser will have to try again in qualify number 2, which at the time of me recording this started today. At the time of you watching this video, will have started 3 days ago. Solaris once again called Team B for some reason. That's going to be a Human Torch ban and another Punisher ban for Arrival 7. Really looking to potentially lean in on these Groot picks, but no, they just ban Wolverine. They pick up Wolverine, once again, giving themselves a counter. Interesting. Feel more confident about keeping their own Groot alive through a Wolverine engage than dealing with the fact that their walls could get melted by a Punisher. Interesting adjustments. We'll have to see if it works out for them. Groot will get banned out, though. They just choose not to deal with it. Solaris taking that away and protects Emma Frost instead. There goes the Hulk, removing buffs onto Iron Man, who really leapt up in priority for a bit. Gonna see the Psylocke protected here. Going to be the Adam Warlock also getting saved once again, kind of forcing Arrival 7's hand for a second time here. going to be the Loki. Was very strong last game, so a little bit of an adjustment from Solaris. And big surprise, there goes that Star-Lord.
The right heroes could make all the difference.
As we are preparing to head into Central Park for Convergence. If Rival 7 are able to win, then they will be moving on and qualifying for Marvel Rivals Ignite and get their chance to try and compete for those big land spots and that prize pool. If Solaris can win, we're heading to a game number 3. And back to normal speed. BRB tossed out of the spawn here just to give people a chance to grab something, especially Hoffman, who is of course going to want the jetpack. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. There it is! And Hoffman is free to move out. So, a little bit of a tip, because I talked about it, but I realized that not everyone is going to be hyper familiar. So, to educate anyone who might be a little newer in this chat, Wolverine, of course, has his Feral Leap. This allows him to pick up someone if he hits them with his claws. Sometimes he can pick them up with his butt cheeks, but we're not going to talk about that. He can pick someone up if he charges into them and carry them a distance. It's usually a good idea to get behind an enemy and then pick them up and carry them into your team. What you can do, however, while flying in that animation, you can use the jetpack that comes from Rocket's BRB to send yourself into the air higher, meaning that you can pick someone up significantly further away and utilize that as a quick isolation for an enemy. As we are going to see Gilbert Noodle opening up with an early portal here. We immediately see Flamme getting taken down as Solaris are looking to make something happen as they start incredibly aggressive here. Monotone is dropped low, just a couple hit points remaining, but they are finally going to get picked up as Gilbert Noodle chases them down. It's a pretty even fight so far. But it's a much easier reinforce for the members of Solaris as they're a little bit closer. Gilbert Noodle making the most of the fact that they have a vertical to avoid that Wolverine. Here comes the counter portal. WAV, realizing they're a little bit further away, forced to swap to Strange. They'll portal in, and as such, both teams are now fully reinforced. But portals are off the table. Mental Athlete taking out Hoffman. WAV playing very far forward right now. Flamme keeping the team as topped as they can. Bedtime Story taking out Pinnacle. Dance of the Butterfly from Chemicals trying to get onto Pizza Demon, but that Guardian Barrier into the invisible boundary will shut that down as Bedtime Story is looking for a follow-up and a counter of their own. Takes out Monotone and Flamme. And it looks like Solaris, with no portal to stop them, will be able to make their way in and pick up point number 1. Trying to chase down the Psylocke, who was on the flank with the diamond form. And a solid kick to the spine will send Chemicals back to spawn. Solaris getting a lot more momentum this time. They've already massively outperformed where they got up to in game at number 1. Sticking with this Doctor Strange, Gilbert Noodle looking for an opening, whereas Rival 7 have moved back onto that mutant team-up of the Everfrost and the Magneto and the Psylocke. Pulling in, gets the lockdown. Great lockdown, but not enough to finish off that Doctor Strange. Cracking impact for Mental Athlete. Looking for resets again, but that's an invisible boundary. Shutting that down, and it will time out. Forced to back away, tainted shocks for a little bit of extra damage onto WAV. Trying to get the finishing blow. Wolverine with the isolation of the tip. The tap member diamond form means they have a huge amount of damage reduction. Ayamoto trying to take on through, but Media M plus Fate of Both Worlds will get a little bit of counter value from the fact that they lay it on top of each other, but it's going to be enough to keep most of the team alive, except for Chemicals, who's picked off to the side. Pulling back, Hoffman, a little bit of damage reduction themselves. Doesn't want to get caught out of position, but they're taking quite a bit of damage. They have the Snowflake. Bedtime Story dropped insanely low. That's going to be a Psionic Seduction from Pinnacle to try and get onto that backline. Pizza Demon, but the Guardian Barrier, invisible boundary, is going to be enough to keep them going as the Dance of the Butterfly comes into the backline. Bedtime Story and Mental Athlete are cleaning up right now. And there's even another reset here for Mental Athlete if anyone is going to step out and come in. Just in case. But no, no one is able to make it to the point. That will be point number 2, as Solaris are pushing in quickly this time. Arrival 7 already being forced to back away because Bedtime Story is on the flank, being a nuisance. Just getting so much damage on that flanking side, causing issues. Flamme dropped insanely low. That's how scary Psylocke can be, that it can basically be a 100-0 if you find the right angle, exactly like that, with a little bit of help from their teammate, but they might not have even needed that, just how much damage Psylocke does. Gilbert did get taken down in exchange though. Chemicals is trying to do the same on the side, dropped low but healed back up quickly. And the Tapman try to push up. Nice force pull to bring the team in, but the wall comes down. Great pick up on the Bedtime Story before they're able to capitalize on anything with that invisible boundary. It's going to be a Rival 7 cleaning up here, but Fate of both worlds. Solaris decide they do want to engage. Kraken Impact. Trading through, counter Kraken Impact. Mental Athlete looking for reset, and they are finding them. That is going to be Gale cleaning up here. Trying to chase down onto Chemicals, who has managed to give them the slip. But the cart is making its way in for the win here. Hoffman making their way onto the point, dance of the butterfly from above. Was shut down here. Chemicals gets locked down. Bedtime Story in the backline themselves. That's going to be everyone onto the point of visible boundary, plus the fate of both worlds. Bedtime Story caught by the media. WAP may have just saved their team this point here, as they have an extra body on the point here. That's a great pickup from Wolverine, allowing Chemicals to take out Gilbert Noodle, who had that Eye of Agamotto, but there's still 2 minutes and 25 left. The cart will be stopped. And we will see a Rival 7 holding the line, keeping control here. No ultimates available though. Closest is Monotone and Pinnacle, 72 and 74%. Meanwhile, Eye of Agamotto and Dance of the Butterfly are already ready. And Dance of the Butterfly is going to come in right away before those ultimates can come off cooldown. Guardian Barrier will buy some time, will protect them as Chemicals is trying out the Bedtime Story. Here comes that invisible boundary that just came off cooldown for Monotone so they can try and keep their team going. Gilbert Noodle, Eye of Agamotto finds 2. Wolverine caught. Kraken Impact as Mental Athlete looks for reset number 2. Going to try and focus onto WAP, which they find. Goodbye! And that is going to be a huge amount of damage, trying to get onto Chemicals, who goes for the duel onto that invisibility with the Psionic Stealth, but it's not going to be enough. Great Bionic Hook, and pushing on in. Monotone tries to rush in to hold the line, but they cannot reach in time. That is going to be a triple cap for the side of Solaris.
Time to switch things up, including which side you're on. You'll need a top-notch team to
Solaris looking to even up the score here as they get the first triple cap of this round. First triple cap of this series, in fact. Putting on an incredibly aggressive performance. Arrival 7. Looks like sticking with pretty much the same. Same for Solaris here. No one's going to be adjusting their compositions as of yet.
30 seconds before you attack.
I can't remember if I shouted out my members this game, so I'm going to do it anyway. So, because it is a double shout out. Shout out to Lucas Tyson, Luminosity Gaming's Arso, Doki Pokey, and John for being wonderful members and helping keep this channel going. Remember, you can help as well by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and leaving a comment about your favorite players. How excited are you for Ignite, and where do you want the first Ignite LAN, that mid-season championship, to be? Portal Trap from Gilbert Noodle. We love it when someone tries something ambitious. Bedtime Story dueling with Chemicals, as they have been for the majority of these games. Monotone keeping the team topped up. doing so much work. MVP in game number 1 has been trying to re-earn it back in game number 2 as Bedtime Story won the duel versus Chemicals, who's now on that backline trying to take out Monotone. That might be enough to force the retreat out of Arrival 7 as they are getting dropped very low here. Medical getting healed up. Guardian Barrier will get broken. They're going to try and re-engage. Dropped low. Force pull. Bionic hook. Monotone focused down as Mental Athlete. Able to find the elimination counter forceful to try and lock them down to keep that focus going. But Solaris able to repel Arrival 7. Hoffman, Hulkless Iron Man. A little bit risky. Psylocke can do very well into Iron Man. You can see that. Pre-firing. Trying to keep an eye out for this Psylocke, although they just spotted them around the corner here. Damage boosted mode. Unibeams to try. Look at that, just pre-firing constantly. Afraid of this Psylocke, but it's got a great zoning potential for it. So Bedtime Story doesn't seem to care that much, going for the clones. Evasive maneuvers seems to have gone away. In the meantime, the fight on the low ground seems to be happening. Invisible Boundary will come out from Monotone. Dance of the Butterfly for Bedtime Story. They're committing to this engagement to try and defend, but Solaris are starting to run out of tools, but it's going to be enough as Hoffman falls, Flamme falls. Chemicals has a Dance of the Butterfly of their own, could try and dive onto Bedtime Story, but they're very outnumbered, will be forced to back away. WAV completely isolated from their team. They go down as well. Arrival 7. They just can't seem to find an opening this round. Solaris have a great position, a great hold. Unibeam keeping an eye out for any, yeah, quite frankly what they said, uninvited guests. Cook, nice sidestep. Hoffman on point here. Still taking a couple hits, needs those heals. Unibeam, Bedtime Story takes them out here while getting dropped incredibly low themselves. Here comes the Psionic Seduction as they dive on in, trying to stay evasive maneuvers, pulling into the enemy. Invisible Boundary caught midair, locked down, but they're attacking on through. Ayamagamoto, the crowd control is insane by Solaris. Kraken impact as they've already taken down Hoffman, but the team is still tagging through. Monotone keeping the team topped up. Mental Athlete forced to back away here. Are they actually going to lose point number 1? Gilbert Noodle. Portal is available. They're going to try and contest this. Mental Athlete on the point. Halfway down. Tim the Tapman is the main front line left. But here comes the Portal. Invisible Pulse Cannon will find Mental Athlete and Tim the Tapman. But Gilbert Noodle has been able to portal in to give their team at least some time to reinforce, which they're trying to do. Pizza Demon, Bedtime Story now. They're just touching it every single second, but it's not enough. Arrival 7. Claim point number 1. Lovely turnaround. Arrival 7, they finally found their angle, they finally found their timing, and Hoffman has decided that if we're done with that Iron Man, it's on to the Winter Soldier. Much wider open area, a lot less cover for an Iron Man here. Weird when you think about Iron Man and cover, but it's just as important as it is for other characters. Dance of the Butterfly from Bedtime Story into the backline, but they're tagging on through his Pinnacle Diamond form. Invisible Boundary, Fate of Both Worlds to try and counter from Pizza Demon. But Invisible Boundary will go down. Flamme will match with their own Fate of Both Worlds, so they can try and push on through as Bedtime Story will fall. But if Mental Athlete can tank on through this, and that's all of the Strategist ultimates going down, meaning Kraken Impact suddenly becomes very viable. Waiting for their opening, Dance of the Butterfly into the backline from Chemicals to buy a little bit of time. Will eat the Kraken Impact focus down, goes to the close, tries to take the 1v, well, it's definitely more than a 1v1. Wow, Meteor M's Pizza Demon and Mental Athlete will fall the Chemicals. Arrival 7 making their way into point number 2. Looks like we may end up with an overtime here. If they can keep this up significantly better than the first part of the round, they're starting to bring it back. Side of Vortex to buy a little bit of time, trading shots back and forth. Chemicals drops low, retreats back to the rest of their team as Mental Athlete takes out Pinnacle with the Soldier's Fist. Flamme dropped low, gets the Iron Bulwark, but is focused down. Kraken Impact from Hoffman this time to wipe out the defenders. The Tapman is trying to hold the line, though. They're absorbing as much damage as they can. They've got some huge healing output, and with that diamond form, damage reduction is going to buy them a lot of time. Bedtime Story takes out Monotone. Without the healing, Hoffman goes down, and we see Solaris holding the line once again. Skin of their teeth here. Portal held, blocked, delayed as 1 minute remains. Chemicals returns will be rejoining their team as Bedtime Story already on the flag. Pete's Demon needs some healing. Team's a little bit busy at the moment. Bedtime Story, Dance of the Butterfly at the ready. Fate of Both Worlds, Invisible Boundary, Meteor M compared to Dance of the Butterfly and Invisible Boundary. Solaris with the ultimate economy advantage, including 270% compared to Flamme, who almost has 100%, everyone else below 70. The Butterfly finds nothing as the Fate of Both Worlds came out from Pizza Demon. Media M finds very little, but this is opening up the possibilities. Now that Flamme's ult is active, if Bedtime Story can stay up and take out Monotone, then they are opening up the possibility for their own Dance of the Butterfly with Kraken Impact from Mental Athlete to weaken everyone. Finds an elimination, not a reset, but it might not matter. Bedtime Story's ultimate got interrupted. They are shut down, but it's enough for just the eliminations as Pinnacle falls. It's gonna be a game number 3, ladies and gentlemen, as Solaris will take game number 2.
Final score, 1, 2, 3.
3-1. Solaris will be taking us to a 3rd map, starting off their comeback here. And we come down to a single map to decide who qualifies for Marvel Rivals Ignite. Let's look at our statistics. Top eliminations, 35 for Tim the Tapman, aka Guru. Doing some proper good work here. Most eliminations will, of course, most final hits will be Mental Athlete, aka Gale. 18 final hits, seconded by Chemicals. Bedtime Story didn't keep up as much this time, but still did decent damage for 18k, beating out Hoffman. Mental Athlete, though, 29k, propping off when needed. Beating out Chemicals by 8k. Top damage blocked, it's close. WAV with 41k, just being beaten out by Gilbert Noodle with 45k. And the top healing. Also very close. Everyone in the 30,000s, but Flamme just creeping up towards that 40,000 with 39,400. 5,000 more than the next highest, which is Pizza Demon. And that's it for game number 2. We are getting set up for game number 3. My hair is slowly deteriorating. Also, I forgot to turn off my auto white balance on my camera. So, pale, not pale, pale, not pale. Well, now the screen's white, so now everything is just all pale. Alright, we've had Central Park, we have had Central Park, we've had Yggdrasil Path, and now we are heading to Hell's Heaven for our final map. I hope you're all as excited as I am, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get right into this. We're once again going to fast forward the draft so that I can try and hit my appointment. Hell's Heaven. A domination map. The first domination map in this series. That's going to be a Punisher getting removed here. Human Torch also taken out. There goes that Groot. So far, very similar, but this time Groot going to get protected instead of allowed through the draft a little bit further. Now for Solaris, aka Team B, to try and claim back their point here. They're going to protect the Emma Frost. More walls plus a Groot. They also seem to want to Groot. They banned the Wolverine. These teams sending a message. Okay, you want a Groot? Let's make this the worst Groot. Let's make this the best game for any Groot that could ever Groot. Punisher, gone. Wolverine, gone. Loki, protected. Team B. Adam Warlock. They do the exact same thing again. Solaris forcing a Rival 7 to ban the Star-Lord. And it's one of those things. They do the exact same strategy every single time. This time they take out Psylocke. Nice. They do the exact same strategy every single time. And you know the one time that a Rival 7 or another team doesn't do it, they're going to get punished.
Pick your hero or villain. I'm
Not going to fall through though. A Rival 7, they do once again ban out the Star-Lord. Hela still available. Once again, Storm and Hawkeye. Rival 7, they look for something a little bit more standard here. Hela and the Winter Soldier. Let's see how they do. Solaris' draft is going to be absolutely insane when the new patch comes around with Ultron being released.
30 seconds
Going for those
before you
ice
attack.
arrows with Hawkeye, that's going to be crazy.
Are you, like, really the goddess of the underworld? Why? Would you like a tour?
Rival 7
I warn you,
setting up for a packed
entering
lunch.
is easier than leaving.
Making sure their team is topped up before they engage.
The battle starts
Bedtime
in
Story
5,
putting their faith into this Storm once again. And Mental Athlete
all you need to do is capture
says
the
that
mission.
Hawkeye is still the way. Gilbert Noodle starting them off. That is a fast portal. They are already on the point. Their team takes the high ground. The Vanguards move down to the low ground. Pinnacle looking for an angle. Wolf deleted instantly here. Trying to trade back and forth. Oh, we're on fast forward. My bad. I fix. Pinnacle taking a lot of damage here. Tim the Tapman also getting focused down, but it will be Mental Athlete who is the first to fall here. Emma Frost able to get a little bit too close, able to focus them down. Bedtime Story, focus down, that's the pickup. And a Rival 7 get another team wipe. First points percentage go over to a Rival 7. Looking for the rubber match to close this out and claim victory, moving themselves into Ignite for the Americas. All they need to do is to hold this point, and then one more after it. He's even keeping the team topped up. Bedtime Story, the Storm has been abandoned. We are now on Hela ourselves. Kraken Impact coming in for Hoffman quite early here. Invisible Boundary comes in, meaning we're almost certainly not going to see another reset unless someone steps out of position. They try Gilbert, but it's blocked by the shield. Nice bionic hook, though. Very nice bionic hook, in fact. Mental Athlete will fall and Gilbert will get taken out, but no more resets for Hoffman. Doesn't matter, though. If you have the point, if you've got the zone, they're already on 54%. A Rival 7 are currently cruising towards victory here with Monotone in control. Tim the Tapman rotating around, taking a little bit of a hit, but still holding the line. Root Walls up, Spore Bomb, straggling Prison, Root Walls to try and counter it. Kraken Impact from Mental Athlete, but it's blocked out completely. Invisible Boundary being traded for the fate of both worlds. Monotone dropping their ult nicely timed here. But that's going to be WAV trying to hold the line as best as they can. And they are, their best is pretty good. 34. The huge focus. And that is going to be round number 1 of Game 3, going over to a Rival 7. They are now one prayer to an Eldritch God away from being the newest team to qualify for Marvel Rivals Ignite. Let's talk about the company that these teams would be in if they are able to qualify, looking at the Americas teams. From the Invitational, we have FlyQuest, Envy, Shikigami, and Nightmare.
30 seconds before you
And
attack.
from
Get
MRC
ready.
Season 1, Sentinels, 100 Thieves, Shroud X, and Magnets. Also, someone pick up Magnets. They have like consistently been like one of the best teams in the Americas for like the last season and a half. And yet they've been like August the entire time. They've just been doing their best. They were, ever since they were Les Emos,
The battle starts in 5.
they've been doing so well. And yet all these other teams have orcs. Well, we're going to be making our way in. Arrival 7 and Solaris. If Arrival 7 take this, it is all over. And they will be joining those teams in Ignite. If Solaris wins, we head to the final point, the Super Soldier Factory. Bedtime Story on the flank. Looking for any pickups, a little bit of damage onto Wav, but now in the duel with chemicals. This is familiar on Silent, on Hela, Goddess of Death, very early here. And beautiful pickup onto chemicals mid-air as Fate of Both Worlds is dropped from both sides. Still trying to maximize that damage output. Not enough for the finishing blows as Kraken Impact comes in from Hoffman, who is taken out. As this time Solaris seems to be in full control. Kraken Impact across the board. Takes out the Loki clones. And will lose the ultimate. Decided not to just try and hold on to it. No more Loki clones to try and stagger it with. Gilbert Noodle, Spore Bomb. A little bit of damage, but nothing too extreme. As Pinnacle looks for an opening, looks to try and trap someone away from those strategists. And Wav is the one leading the charge. Psychic Spear blocks that bionic hook beautifully there. Gilbert Noodle is the target, walling them away from the team as they try and keep this pressure going. Another beautiful Psychic Spear. That's going to be a Sonic Seduction onto Wav, but they're tagging through. Monotone with that Fate of Both Worlds, keeping them topped up. That's a counter Fate of Both Worlds from Borderline to hold the line. Diamond form for Wav. Deep in the back line, looking for Loki, looking for that Winter Soldier, but unable to control the point. Straggling Prison, holding the line. Gilbert is trying to make something happen for the side of Solaris to keep control. And right now it's working. We're starting to see Arrival 7 falter. Straggling Prison though, into the back line. Groove Wall splitting the team in two. But Pizza Demon with that copied Fate of Both Worlds. With that God of Mischief is holding them through it. And Arrival 7 are being routed. Forced off the point. The strategist ultimates are gone. That's a reset. Kraken Impact being traded out as we saw the counter attempt from Hoffman. Not able to find the finishing blow. It's only one pickup. But one pickup this late could be huge. Kraken Impact from both teams used. Goddesses of Death being dropped very early as we see Solaris. Bedtime Story would like to just zone them away from the point with 94%. If you can pick them off before they even get to the point, then you don't have to worry about defending on it. Gets another elimination. Flame falls. Pinnacle goes down. And what a pickup. Bedtime Story brings us to a final point. Solaris versus Arrival 7. Winner at Super Soldier Factory will make it into Ignite. Loser will be trying again in Qualifier number 2. Either of these teams could deserve it based on the day, based on the map. They are very evenly matched. Momentum in favor of Solaris, but Arrival 7, they've shown they can thrive under pressure when needed. Goddess of Death still held. Sonic Seduction still held.
You're yet to deliver what was promised.
Bro, nearly said a bad word there.
Right after I have
A mind F is what I was going to call that alt. My brain is not working.
The battle starts in 5.
But we hold.
4,
We live.
3, 2, 1.
As we make our way in for the final round of the final game.
They say that music brings the world together.
In either of these teams' journeys before Ignite begins. Wrap around to the high ground for the side of Arrival 7. Not so much for Solaris. Once again, they have chosen to be the first on the point. Psychic Spear. Doing some good damage to Wav. That keeps the pressure on both of the Everfrost into the diamond form. Go to lockdown onto Groot, trying to finish off the blow here as here comes the Psionic Seductions being traded on both sides. Groot walls for the block, straggling Prison. That's a beautiful regeneration domain to shut that down as Chemicals is taken to the sky. Bedtime Story avoiding with that Astral Float, but picked off mid-air. Pizza Team with the Fate of Both Worlds from the God of Mischief. Flamme with the same, but they're eating so much damage right now. But Mental Athlete knows that if they can survive through this initial engage, then they could try and set up for a reset here, but everyone is so healthy. No resets for Mental Athlete. Chemicals will take out Tim the Tapman as Arrival 7 have claimed the point. Trading the shots, WAV goes down. We're starting to see Solaris with the turnaround here, making their way back in. A little bit of a too greedy push for Arrival 7. They get picked off by the surprise shots from Bedtime Story on the Hella. Bionic Hook as Hoffman and the Mental Athlete, both of which soldiers fist into each other. Beautiful straggling prison into another double. Flamme's off the side, and that is going to be Solaris with their first points on the board. 23% to 8, with Solaris now in control, beginning to close the gap. Pinnacle making their way in, straggling prison at the ready. They have Fate of Both Worlds. They have Kraken Impact. On the other side, Kraken Impact, Fate of Both Worlds, and the God of Mischief, though. So Solaris, they have all their defensive tools. Gilbert getting locked out. Fate of Both Worlds from Borderline will be the first one. Kraken Impact from Mental Athlete. Looking for the first reset here. Hoffman going for their own one as they're trading back and forth. Mental Athlete dropping in from above. Looking for the reset if they can just find this one elimination. Bionic Hook down off the side they go. Taking out Borderline with them, but they did go down. And that is going to be a fight won by Solaris. It's a 4-for-1. 50% for Solaris. 40% to go as they hit 60. Arrival 7. They need to arrive on, settle on this point. As they will rejoin, they will reinforce Snowball. Hail Mary sent out, not finding a target. Gilbert. Walls being traded back and forth. They get Pinnacle. Counter from Hoffman to try and take out Gilbert. Regeneration Domain is going to keep them sustaining on through this fight. That's a big old group of enemies. There's got to be a temptation. But Regeneration Domain is allowed to tank on through Psychic Spear. But Gilbert's able to get out of range. Chemicals with the Goddess of Death. Here comes the clone from Flamme. Fate of Both Worlds at the ready. They pull the trigger. Here comes the counter clone. Fate of Both Worlds from Pizza Demon. Pushing on in. Kraken Impact. Straggling Prison. Psionic Seduction from WAV to try and lock him down and set up for Chemicals, who's sieging him from above. Gets Mental Athlete. That's one of the big ultimate users from the side of Solaris. Pizza Demon takes out Hoffman though. Chemicals sent down to Earth. It's a 1-for-2 right now in favor of Arrival 7. But Gilbert straggling Prison to try and lock them down. But they're tagging. Brewwall splits the team in two so they can focus on their focus onto Pinnacle. Take out the front line. They have a turnaround counter straggling Prison. But Gilbert Noodle takes out Flamme. Pinnacle is down. And they're holding. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to be the win for Solaris, taking the series in a 2-1. Looking almost cooked in round number 1. They bring it back. They adjust, they evolve, and that is going to be Solaris qualifying for Marvel Rivals Ignite. Pizza Demon with the MVP. Give me a slice, mate. Solaris making their way into Marvel Rivals Ignite. Let's look at those statistics. Another fairly low elimination game here. 17 is a tied highest between Bedtime Story and Mental Athlete. Least amount of times getting eliminated is Gilbert No, it's Pizza Demon, only going down once. That's insane. Only getting taken out once that game. They were getting focused hard. Actually, no, they were, man. Looks a bit damage blocked. Like 50k, like 5k. So little here. Top damage. Gonna be a almost 3-way tie here. 20k for Hoffman, 20k for Gilbert Noodle, 20k for Mental Athlete. By 100, Mental Athlete is able to beat out Hoffman. 20,516 to 20,605 with Gilbert Noodle a little bit further behind with 20,283. But such a close gap. Damage blocked, though, tells a different story. With 52k across Gilbert Noodle and Pinnacle, otherwise no one else is really even close. But it is going to be by 267 points. It is going to be Pinnacle who has the higher set there. Sorry, it's not it's 200 and... What is the difference? No, I think I was right. Yeah. Yeah, 267 points. Yeah, I can do maths, I think. Either way, Pinnacle does have the most damage blocks. And top healing will be going over to Pizza Demon. Earning that MVP, they have 3 final hits. Only got taken out once and healed for 39k healing. 3k more than their contemporary in the form of Flamme. Well played. A solid victory. And Solaris, aka Team B, will be making their way in for Marvel Rivals Ignite, which will be starting soon. The second qualifiers are happening as I speak. I'll have to check in on those. I'm going to do as many of these quarterfinals as possible, and then I'm going to just have to spam record as many of qualifier number 2 before NetEase decides to delete all the qualifiers again. For now, though, as my hair reaches ultimate scruff, that is it for today's game. I hope you enjoyed very much. Make sure to leave a comment saying where you would like that land to be, what teams you all think are going to qualify in qualifier number 2, and check out Marvel Rivals Esports Recap. It's a video that just never gets pushed. The algorithm hates that video, but I like making it. I like making a little news video to recap all the events from the previous week. So if you like that, if you like your esports news, then like the video, comment on the video, and subscribe. Ring that bell so you know when it goes live, because just YouTube hates it. It really does. It really affects the channel, but I like doing it. So either way, as once again my shirt is being completely eaten by the green screen, I'm going to say thank you all very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, send a thanks if you want to donate, become a member if you want videos early and name shoutouts. I have been Tetcher, and I will see you all tomorrow.